Now what we're trying to do is figure out if we need excess funds or required new funds when we're doing our forecasting. So if we just look at this line, notes payable, currently we have I would assume a bank loan of 15,000. So we're just trying to figure out if we'll need to borrow more money or if we can repay some of that down. And then this technique that we're using is called required new funds. And here's the formula. So it's just called the percentage of sales technique. So RNF equals A over S1, and I'll define what these are in a bit. And then you multiply that by the change in sales, and then minus L over S1. And again, multiply that by the change in sales, and then minus P S2, 1 minus D. Okay, so think of this as one part of the formula, and then this as the second part of the formula, and then this as the third part of the formula. So A will equal your total assets. So in this case, I'm going to assume that my equipment so the 50,000, oops, I didn't mean to go over it. I'll just put a star right there. So I'm assuming that the equipment is going up and down with sales in this question. We're going to change that assumption in the next one that we do. Okay, so assume equipment is in proportion with sales. Okay, and so then the A and R formula is the 120,000. So that's our total assets. Now the change in sales is you just take your original sales. So let's just assume that our original sales are 200,000. And let's also assume that they're going to go up by 50%. So that's how much we're forecasting they're going to change. So then that change in sales means it's going to increase by 100,000. And then our S1 is our original sales. So I'll say change in sales. And S1 is original sales. And again, let's just assume that our original sales was the 200,000. So it's this amount right here. Then we have L. So those are our total liabilities. Okay, but we're going to always exclude the note payable because that's what we're actually calculating. So in this case, I'll take the 65,000 and then minus out that 15,000 right there. So then our total liabilities are 50,000. And then we'll go and work with this P. So what the P represents is our profit margin percentage. So the questions will probably give it to you. If not, they'll give you enough information to run the formula. But in this case, let's just assume the profit margin is 6%. And then the S2 are your new sales. So those are your new forecasted sales. So I'll just say new sales. So we would take the 200,000 and add the increase of 100,000, and that gives us 300,000. And the D is your dividend payout ratio. And again, most of the questions will give you this ratio. If not, they'll give you enough information to run it. So I'll just assume that it's 50%. So now that I have all the information, I can go ahead and fill this into my formula. Okay, so I'm going to do the A, which I said was 120,000, and divide that by my old sales, which are 200,000, and then multiply that by the change in sales, which is 100,000. Then I'm going to subtract the second part of the formula. So now I'm working on this part right here. So my liabilities, excluding the notes payable, is 50,000. So I'll put this in, 50,000. Divide that by the old sales, which are 200,000, and then multiply that by the change of 100,000. And then the last part of the formula is taking your P, which is the profit margin percentage of 6%, multiplying that by S2, which is your new sales of 300,000, and then multiplying that by 1 minus the dividend payout ratio, which is the 50%. So I'll take 6%, multiply that by the 300,000, and then 1 minus 50%, okay? So now when I solve each of these parts, I'm just going to do them separately. So 120 divided by 200 times 100,000 is 60,000. Then we minus 50 divided by 200 times that by 100, that comes out to 25,000. And then we minus the 6% times the 300,000 and times that by 50%, because 1 minus 50 is 50. And that comes out to 9,000. So when you add that all up, 60 minus 25 minus 9, that gives me 26,000. Okay? So when it's positive, like it is here, that means we need to borrow $26,000. So that actually increases our notes payable. But sometimes when you run this, that number can come out negative, and then that means we have excess cash. And then you can repay notes payable. And in that case, it'll go down. Okay, so once we figure out how much we actually need to borrow, then our next step is to do our forecasted balance sheet to see what everything looks like.